Since I took Bradshaw, the next picks were the Pittsburgh defense. Don't draft a defense early, people. It doesn't make any sense. Vernon Davis, Pierre Garçon, and Jason Witten. Witten's a guy who's pretty interesting this season. He was so consistent for so many years, and then last year, Laurent Robinson seemed to kind of just push him out of the offensive equation. And now Robinson's gone, and Des Bryant's in trouble, so Witten could see an uptick in value. That said, he's also a year older, and tight ends don't necessarily have the longest careers or the most consistent careers based upon injury, as you can see with guys like Antonio Gates. I mean, he's been playing forever, but he's had a lot of really nicked up years. Man, no one wants Darren Sproles. Should I just take another running back? I wish I could hear all my listeners respond to me. Beanie Wells is up here on the rankings now. As much as I would like to jump on another running back like Sproles or Halu, I think I'm probably going to take Decker if he makes it back to me. There are 2 picks between my next pick, or before my next pick. Let's see what other wide receivers are available. So yeah, Meacham, Decker, Torrey Smith, Reggie Wayne, Sidney Rice is ranked pretty high here on Yahoo. I like him as a player, and I like Matt Flynn more than Tarvaris Jackson in the abstract, but I'm not quite sure if that's a guy I could justify taking this at this point in the draft. I think Decker or Smith is going to be my pick here. Let's consult the rankings. We've got Decker and Smith back-to-back here. I've got Torrey Smith 2 spots ahead of him, 26 versus 28. Jeff's got Decker at 19 and Smith at 20. And Chet has Decker at 24 and Smith at 32. I'm trying to consider the type of team I'm putting together here. AJ Green and Percy Harvin both seem like pretty consistent players. I'm wondering if I should go for like the home run threat of Torrey Smith, or if I should take the more, how do you want to say, I guess just volume receptions guy in Eric Decker. At least I'm assuming that's what he's going to be like this year with Peyton Manning. I'm not really a believer in Anquan Bolden anymore. You know, let's go with my TFF brethren and take Decker here. They have him ranked higher. I'll buy it for this spot in the draft. I guess I should also note that works with my bye weeks, whereas Torrey Smith would not. But again, I tend to not pay attention to that stuff for the most part. Now that we've got basically a starting lineup filled out, I mean, I still need a tight end. I probably won't keep bugging you guys with the recording of this for too long, or at least not without editing out some of the time between picks. And with that said, I am going to look to fill out my roster here with a tight end if a good one is available at the proper value. But I could also go for some more wide receiver depth, or even another running back at this point. I'm all about taking as many running backs as you can, especially if the value is good. Since I took Decker, Mason Crosby, I should say. Jesus, why? Never take a kicker before the last round. I know that like all the fantasy quote-unquote experts say this, but it really is one of the tenets of fantasy football that you have to pay. You have to follow it. There's so much variance between seasons on kickers' points and how much they score that I understand you can get David Akers, you can have the best kicker from the previous season, and it's just there's no guarantee that person's going to come close to repeating, let alone leading the league again. Like, they could even put up the same, I mean, they're not going to put up the same amount of points regardless, but sorry, I'm getting incoherent because it pisses me off when people take kickers this early. It's just stupid. Anyway, after I took Decker, Mason Crosby was the next pick, then Beanie Wells, then the Bears defense, then Roy Halu, then Torrey Smith, then Darius Hayward Bay, Robert Meacham, Sebastian Janikowski, and then the Packers. defense. It is possible that those kicker selections were auto picks. I don't think so, though. Well, the Janikowski one definitely was. The Mason Crosby one was not. So that's another reason not to use, or to make sure you show up to your draft and not rely on auto pick, because you'll end up with a kicker in any round besides the last one. And I mean, in a league like this, in a Yahoo league where they don't require you to fill out a full roster coming out of the draft, I probably wouldn't even take a kicker this early in the draft season. I would just take somebody hoping to win a preseason battle. All right, back to our pick. Let's see. Top ranked players on Yahoo are Cutler, Roethlisberger, Jonathan Stewart, Sean Green, Isaac Redman, Peyton Hillis. I don't want to take a quarterback, but I might take Jonathan Stewart here. Wide receivers available: Reggie Wayne, Sidney Rice, Antonio Holmes, Greg Little, Justin Blackmon, Denarius Moore, Mike Williams, Anquan Bolden, Malcolm Floyd. I like Denarius Moore, Mike Williams, and Malcolm Floyd a lot, but I think I could wait till next round to get one of those guys. So I think I'm going to take the Daily Show here. Get my daily dose of Jon Stewart. Isaac Redman's tempting as well, but Stewart, I think, is pretty good, and who knows, maybe if D'Angelo Williams gets injured, he can get more of those carries. I guess I could have, quote-unquote, handcuffed Jamal Charles there by taking Hillis, but I'm not all in on taking handcuffs when you can just take another running back who probably has more value in all weeks, namely Jonathan Stewart. So take that for what you will. What tight ends are still available? Pettigrew, Tony Gonzalez, Jacob Tamme, Owen Daniels, Jermaine Gresham, Brent Selleck, Jared Cook, Fleener, Kyle Rudolph, way down there in the rankings. He's been getting a lot of hype this preseason. It's always interesting how much of that hype you can buy into in the preseason, because everyone talks up their players or talks down their players in an effort to motivate them to play harder in the preseason. It's hard to separate what's truth from what's fiction. With that said, I think Kyle Rudolph is probably going to be at least halfway decent this year. I don't think I could take him over a lot of the other tight ends like Gonzalez, like Pettigrew. But if you're willing to gamble and just wait and wait and wait on tight end and then snatch up Kyle Rudolph late in the draft, I think that's fine. I have no problem with that. So QBs and and running backs tend to be the bulk of what's available right now. David Wilson is the name of that backup Giants running back I couldn't remember earlier. He's creeping up the rankings now that a bunch of players are going. Since I took Stewart, Sean Green, David Akers, Willis McGahee, Malcolm Floyd, Peyton Hillis, and Santonio Holmes were picked. So I'm going to look at wide receivers here. I might snatch up Denarius Moore or Mike Williams. In that head-to-head battle, I would lean towards Moore. I'm going to lean towards him for now. Let's take a look at who else is available. Could take D'Angelo Williams. Handcuff. No thanks. Reggie Wayne also available. Let's take a look at the staff rankings. See who we like more there. Denarius Moore, a few spots behind Reggie Wayne. I just don't know if I buy Reggie Wayne anymore, to be honest. New quarterback. I think Moore's got a lot of upside. And he is my backup wide receiver here. I could take another QB too and kind of solidify myself as, I try and back up Michael Vick's injury risk. But I'm pretty sure I can do that next round. I can take Schaub or Palmer or even Josh Freeman. Yeah. Who did I have ranked higher between Wayne and Denarius? Let's see. I've got Denarius Moore at 33. I've got Reggie Wayne at 30. I'm going to make the upside play here. I'm going to take more. This kind of goes to show that rankings aren't everything. Just because I have somebody ranked 3 spots higher doesn't necessarily mean I'm always going to take that player. I'm going to start pausing between these picks here. And when I'm a couple picks away, I'll come back and give you a recap of who's been selected between my picks. So catch up right about now. Alright, so since my last pick, the players who were selected were Matt Schaub, Justin Blackman, Jay Cutler, the Seahawks defense, Jesus, Donald Brown, Jaquiz Rogers, Dan Bailey, and Isaac Redman. That's good value on Redman, by the way. I would be happy to snatch him up in the 11th round. I'm still looking wide receiver for the most part. I've kind of drug a bunch of wide receivers I like into my queue here on the right-hand side. I've got Mike Williams of Tampa Bay, Santana Moss, Michael Floyd of the Cardinals, Alshon Jeffrey, Randy Moss, Austin Collie, Danny Amendola, Vincent Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Randall Cobb, Brandon LaFell, Steve Smith of the Rams in there. And that way I can kind of see who's still available, who I can fill out my lineup with. I only have 2 bench spots left, and one of those is going to be a quarterback. The other one's going to be a wide receiver. So while I may like Mike Williams and Santana Moss, I can probably wait to take another wide receiver right now. I think I'm going to lean towards a quarterback here. If Roethlisberger's there, I'll take him. And if not, I'll probably take Carson Palmer. Jared Cook was just selected. I guess I could take a tight end here as well. I should look at that and just wait on QB. Pettigrew, Tammy, Owen Daniels, Gresham, Selleck, Fleener, and basically anyone else you'd expect to be there. I mean, Reggie Wayne came back to me. I could make that pick as well and just be done with wide receiver as well. I don't think I care if I have Reggie Wayne or one of these other guys as one of my backup wideouts. I think I would honestly rather have a lot of these guys just based on upside, whether it be Randy Moss or Michael Floyd. So with that said, I'm going to hedge my bets with Vic and take Roethlisberger here. I think I can wait on tight end as well. I mean, I could take Pettigrew, I guess. Let's check who has backup QBs so far. This guy does not. This guy does not. This guy does not. And this guy does not. Oh, this guy does. He has Tony Romo and Peyton Manning. Sweet, bro. You only get to play one of those guys. Yeah, I think I'm going to take Roethlisberger here. So my next 2 picks are definitely going to be a wide receiver and a tight end. And again, because there are all these quality wide receivers over here in my queue, I'm going to look to just take my favorite tight end, period. And let's see. Since I took Roethlisberger, Titus Young has been drafted. All of the people drafting before me here have a tight end on their lineup. They're in there. All the people drafting before me here have a tight up. All the people here before me have a tight end on their roster. So I doubt any of these guys will get drafted here. I think between Tammy, Daniels, Gresham, Selleck, Fleener, Keller, and like Dallas Clark, Greg Olsen, Kyle Rudolph, I don't really see a whole lot of difference. I might just take Tammy. It's possible that whoever I take is just going to get dropped for another one in season. So I'm not going to stress about it too much. So actually, let's consult the tight end rankings, shall we? Let's see. After Pettigrew, well, look, Brett Selleck. Thanks to Jeff's 8th overall ranking. He's right behind Fred Davis in our ranks. And then Pettigrew, then Gonzalez, then Tammy. So, personally, it looks like I've got Selleck at 11, Tammy at 13. Yeah, let's see. So overall, we like Selleck more. Yeah, sure. Let's follow the ranks. I like that. Stay consistent. Unless we're drafting Eric Decker, I guess. Let's see. I don't mind having the quarterback to tight end connection either. That's all right. I've already got Eric Decker too. He's probably going to be competing with Tammy for targets. So let's jump on the Eagles player. And again, I don't know if that's necessarily correct, but at the same time, I don't think it matters this early in the preseason. We don't have a clear picture of which one of those guys is absolutely better than the other. And with my last non-kicker, non-defense pick, I'm going to take a wide receiver. Reggie Wayne's still available. And if he's there on my next pick, that's probably who I'll take. But there are, like I said, there are a lot of other good options over here in the queue. So I will pause here and pick it back up when it's closer to my pick. All right, so since my last pick, the players selected were Reggie Wayne, Josh Freeman, Greg Little, Javid Best, Randall Cobb, who's getting a lot of hype this preseason, Jermaine Gresham, Tampa Bay's Mike Williams, and Jacob Tamme. There are two more picks before I get to make a selection. I'm going to take a wide receiver. I'm trying to decide between Santana Moss, Michael Floyd, Alshon Jeffrey, Randy Moss, Austin Collie, Danny Amendola. I'm actually leaning towards Randy Moss right now, and I'm almost certain that's who I'm going to take if it gets to me at this point. These 10-team leagues are just so shallow when it comes to wide receiver, and this is another reason why you can kind of wait on wide receiver early in the draft and just take all the running backs you can find. Because some of these wide receivers are going to break out. Whether it be Steve Smith or Danny Amendola on the Rams, or Vincent Brown on the Chargers, or even Emmanuel Sanders if Mike Wallace's holdout continues. Sanders is also, just side note, slotted to be the punt and kick returner for the Steelers if you're in a return yardage league. But with all that said, I'd rather gamble on just like the upside of Randy Moss here. I mean, if he's good, he's really friggin' good. There's no reason to think that he might get back to form, and all reports out of Niners camp is that he's looking really great. With that said, we talked about how you can't always believe what's being said in camp, but still, this early in the preseason, before all of the preseason games have happened, it's worth gambling on a guy like Randy Moss. And if in the preseason games he looks slow, or he looks like he doesn't have a connection with Alex Smith, or it just looks like Alex Smith's not going to be able to give him the ball, you drop him and pick another one of these guys up. You have a lot of options at wide receiver in a league this shallow. This is one reason why I do prefer the 12-team format of ESPN standard leagues. So I'm actually probably going to take another wide receiver here in the next round, not a kicker or a defense, and I'll just take a defense in the last round. I tend to stream defenses for the most part anyway, try and just pick good matchups week to week. And there's not a whole lot here. The Buffalo defense is available, though. I do like them. With the addition of like Mario Williams and the other guys they've added this offseason. The Arizona defense has already been selected. I wonder how they're ranked on Yahoo. Okay. That's fair, I guess. I might snatch up the Buffalo defense if it gets to me here, and just take either Steve Smith or Vincent Brown or Danny Amendola in the last round. But we'll see what happens. It's possible Buffalo will get snatched up with one of these two picks before me. After I took Moss, Brandon LaFell, Anquan Bolden, Michael Bush, the Lions defense, Rob Baronis and John Casey were selected. Brendan LaFell's another guy who's getting a lot of preseason hype. He's supposedly made a very good connection with Cam Newton, but it remains to be seen what that really means. I mean, I think it's a fine upside pick at this point. He was on my Q is one of the guys I could have taken. Mike Tolbert and Alex Smith just got selected, so I can take a wide receiver. And again, all of these guys I'd be happy to own just as kind of a lottery ticket in the preseason. So I'm going to take the Buffalo defense because I do like that defense. And I mean, it kind of sucks that they have to play New England twice a year, but by the same token, they get to play Mark Sanchez and Ryan Fitzpatrick twice a year. I'm going to take the Bills, and I will be back for my last pick. All right, so since I took Buffalo, C.J. Spiller, Colby Fleener, Santana Moss, Owen Daniels, Alex Henry, the Bengals defense, and the Patriots defense have all been selected. Dan Carpenter, the Dolphins kicker, just went. And so the wide receivers I'm looking at are now boiled down to Alshon Jeffrey, Austin Collie, Danny Amendola, Vincent Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, and Steve Smith. I like all of these guys. I would be happy picking any of them. With that said, I'm going to rule out Vincent Brown just because I think if Gates is up to form as is being reported, then between Gates, Meacham, who they just signed to a contract, and Malcolm Floyd, who I like a lot, Vincent Brown, I mean, he'll have some good games, but I don't think he'll be very consistent. Michael Crabtree was just selected. I don't think I was taking him, having already picked Moss. So Jeffrey is another guy I'm going to rule out, just being a rookie. I don't know if I have enough of a baseline on him yet. I do like Cutler, throwing to him, but with Brandon Marshall there, he's going to be splitting targets. So it boils down to Collie, Amendola, Emmanuel Sanders, and Steve Smith. If this were a PPR league, I think I'd jump on Amendola right away. With that said, it's not a PPR league, and I mean, it still might be Amendola, to be honest. I'm kind of leaning towards one of the Rams receivers here. I like Collie a lot, but again, like new quarterback, it remains to be seen which one of those receivers is going to kind of be his go-to guy. I think it actually might be Collie, but I know that Amendola will have a role in the Rams offense, and I like Steve Smith's upside. Again, I'm going to have to drop a player going into the season. So with that said, I think I'm going to take Steve Smith here. In the last round, just as kind of a lottery ticket, if he looks really good in the preseason and kind of establishes himself as the Rams' #1 receiver, then I can afford to drop somebody else, whether it be Moss or, I don't know. Well, I was waxing poetic about Steve Smith a little bit too much, and it auto-selected Austin Collie for me. Anyway, that's that's too bad. But again, like I said, I'd be happy with any of those four guys. And yeah, I like this roster. It looks pretty good. I'll have to pick up a kicker eventually. And I mean, it'd probably drop Austin Collie or Randy Moss, one of those two guys. The rest of the lineup looks pretty good. I really like the running backs. Matthews, Richardson, and Charles being like my A squad. And like I said, I like Bradshaw a lot. So getting him as my 4th running back seems pretty strong. Vic and Roethlisberger together. Hopefully they don't both get hurt, but you never know. And I hope that you folks enjoyed watching this. Please give me any and all feedback you can. I will take the worst criticism you can give me, and I would love to hear it because I'd like to keep doing this, and I'd like to hear what you think I could improve upon or how I can make this better. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.